Hello and welcome to this week's MMA Mental Podcast. My name is Ray and I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Patrick. How's things for you, Patrick?
Things are super. How's everything going with you, Ray?
Going good. We've had a few glitches this week. We had a couple of guests lined up, but we unfortunately we haven't heard from them. But we have got one guest lined up and he's ready to come on now. So we're going to jump straight in with our guest this week, and we're joined by Pete, the secret or not so secret weapon Spratt, which is another MMA veteran and UFC veteran, and also a tough Ultimate Fighter Season 4 contestant as well. So we're going to give him a ring now and we'll jump straight in. As always, I'll take the first bit and then you'll be ready to take the second bit, yeah?
Fantastic.
Right, let's get him on.
All right.
I'm just adding him to the call. I'll give him a... Hi Pete, you okay?
Hello?
Hi Pete, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Just to let you know, you're on with myself, Ray, and my co-host Patrick.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good.
Firstly, I want to say a big thank you for agreeing to come onto the show. We're very excited to get you on.
Not a problem.
Cool. So what we'll do, we'll jump straight in. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about your career. You've been fighting for a long time. You fought all over in lots of different promotions. So first off, have you got a favourite win or a favourite victory? A favourite win or favourite performance?
Man, I mean that's kind of tough. My last two fights were pretty big. I knocked out Daniel Acasio in Brazil on March 31st with a spinning back fist the last second of the last round. So that was pretty nice. And then my fight before that on December 2nd in Montreal, my grandmother had passed the day before. And so that win, I won by TKO in the second round of that fight. So those last two fights, really, really stick out for me. Probably the most special of those two would probably be me still being able to continue to get in there and fight despite losing my grandmother the day before.
Of course, yeah, that must have been horrible to have to come to terms with and to deal with. You
Yeah,
fought? Sorry, go on. Yeah.
yeah, it was really tough. My grandmother adopted me, and when I was a babe, when I was a kid, and raised me. So that was just like losing my mother. It wasn't, losing my grandmother. It was losing my mother,
Yeah, kind of.
or my mom, as you guys might say.
Yeah, mum, yeah, mother, mum. Wow, that must have been really difficult, and wow, as I don't know what to say. It's something that you kind of never hope you have to deal with. But I mean, you haven't fought since March. Have you got anything? Have you got any of the fights lined up?
Well, I'm looking to go back to Instinct MMA in October. I'm coming off of thumb surgery. I ruptured the tendon in my thumb in my fight in Brazil. So I had surgery in April. So I've been down since that surgery. But I've already been released back to full training. So I've been sparring and weightlifting and running and doing all the stuff that I need to do to get ready for a fight. So, but I'm looking toward Instinct MMA in Montreal in October.
And who are you? Who are you training with at the moment in preparation for the fight, or who
I'm
will you
I'm
be training with?
I'm at home in my town in San Antonio, Texas, doing my training with my partner Rodrigo Pinheiro, and just training with my guys here. I actually talked to Rich Clemente today, and he's going to be headlining a Bellator in October. So he wants me to come out and help him train a little bit. So I'll probably go out to Louisiana and help Rich train a little bit, as well as prepare myself, do a seminar maybe at Alan Belcher's and a couple of other places out there in Louisiana. And then eventually I'm going to look out to go to San Diego and train at Black House at Anderson and Lyoto Machida and all those guys' gym, and even Alliance MMA with Dominic Cruz and Eric Del Fiero and those guys over there as well.
Oh, brilliant! So I suppose it's nice to move around and train with as many different people as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, obviously, your strongest point in the game has always, or predominantly has been your striking. In training, do you work more on your other areas? Do you focus on improving your striking? What's your kind of routine for your training, and what do you focus on?
Well, for me out here, when I would work on my striking, I would work with my boxing coach Jesse James Leha, former WBC champion. But really, when I'm here at home, I don't get to focus on my striking. My only striking is sparring, and I stay pretty sharp with my sparring. But as far as evolving, I think my game striking wise is well enough to evolve that I don't really have to specifically focus on that. But primarily, when I'm in camp here, I'm focusing on my takedown defense and my submission defense.
Yeah. Is that so? With most of the time, obviously you're not going to give everything away, but would you say it's fair to say that your game plan is to keep the fight standing? If you are taken down, to get back to your feet, defend the submissions, then work on getting a knockout or a TKO.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. There's no secret to my game at all. I mean there's nothing for me to try to hide or get away with. I'm looking to knock somebody's head off, and it's no secret in that. And my game plan is always the same, to look to try to finish somebody. And so I just focused on the weak parts of my game. And my wrestling's gotten a lot better. My submission defense has gotten a lot better. So I'm very confident in any instance where the fight's going to be. But particularly as of late, I've really, really improved my takedown defense and my submission defense.
I want to go back in time a little bit and talk about some of the one of the earlier times that I first discovered you and saw some of your fights. And the first time I remember seeing you fight was your first UFC fight, which was UFC 37.5. What do you remember? That was obviously against Zach Light, who was known for his wrestling. What do you remember about the build up to that fight and getting the call from the UFC and kind of how that fight played out?
I was excited. We had been talking back and forth with the UFC anyway, and to get the call to come up, it was great. That was something that I had worked for. That was something that I put as far as my goal setting. That's where I wanted to be, and I gave myself a time frame to get there. And it just so happens when they called me to come out, it was right within the time frame that I had set for myself to get to the UFC. And it was just one of those things. Me being a striker and they putting me up against a wrestler, which they technically they haven't given me. It's not as many. Back then, it wasn't as many fighters as there is now. And, you can put great matchups together now. And, with me being an elite striker that I was back then, for some reason, they would always match me up with wrestlers or jiu-jitsu guys. And then when they did match me up with a striker, I took him out quite easily. But, my first fight was against Zach Light. He was an All-American wrestler. And actually, the submission that I caught him in, I had just worked that in training probably a couple of days before the fight. And we specifically worked that, if he put his hand behind my head and didn't let go, that I would transition off the fence and spin for the armbar. And it worked perfectly.
I remember it really well, yeah.
And then my next fight was with Carlos Newton, who was the former champ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy.
Yeah.
But I wanted to fight Robbie Lawler next, and they didn't want to give me that fight. So I had to fight Newton. And then they gave me the Robbie Lawler fight, and then I beat him. And then the next fight was with the current title holder at that time, which was an All-American wrestler, Matt Hughes.
Yeah.
So it was just weird how, but now there's so many different matchups and so many strikers out there, and I'm sure that if I could get back, I could get a lot of great matchups and a great exciting fights. But
yeah. I remember with the Zach Light fight, because I remember it was exactly the transition off the cage, and it was the technique was beautiful, and obviously I don't know. Have you ever watched the fight back and listened to the commentary from Joe Rogan on the fight?
Yeah. He was really excited.
Yeah, I remember him saying that because obviously you were known for your striking, and I remember him saying that you were the future of the sport because you were a striker and you've got the submissions as well. And he was obviously talking about people who do the cross training.
Yeah.
And I also remember as well with the Robbie Lawler fight, it kind of felt that they were setting you up to lose to Robbie Lawler, because obviously Robbie Lawler was on quite a good run at that time.
Yeah.
And did you feel that as well going into the fight?
Yeah. I think that was exactly it. It was actually the third fight on my contract, and Robbie had that full steam going, And I think they figured that, okay, it's his last fight on his contract. We'll match him up with Robbie. Robbie will beat him and put him out.
Yeah.
And we don't have to call him back. Well, that didn't happen. So immediately what they do, they offer me a title shot. So, and we couldn't come to terms on money, so I didn't take the title shot, and I got cut anyway.
It was the leg kicks, wasn't it, that beat Robbie Lawler, from what I remember?
Yeah, I think I tore his hip flexor with the leg kicks.
Yeah, I remember the leg kicks. And then moving forward a little bit then, and you talked about Rich Clemente, and we actually spoke a couple of weeks ago to Dean Thomas as well. Moving forward a little bit, what was it like doing the Ultimate Fighter Season 4, and how did that all come about, you getting the call for that?
I mean, it was an okay experience. I wouldn't do it again, but it was a good experience, a good opportunity to train with some good veteran guys and to train with GSP and Randy Couture, and I met Mark Delagrade while I was there, and I ended up going to train with Sid Yutong in Boston, going to train with him for quite a bit, and I mean, it was a great experience. It was a great experience. What was the second part of the question?
I was going to say, what was one of the things that I remember from the season was the antics of Shoney Carter. What was he like in the house, and how did you kind of cope with, I suppose, having like a grown up child around?
I was fine with Shoney, man. None of the stuff that he was doing bothered me at all. And a lot of people think that was just Shoney showing out in front of the cameras for TV, but literally Shoney is like that all the time. So it wasn't an act on Shoney's part. He's like that all the time. So I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I know Jorge didn't like it at all, but it is what it is, man. You can't stress about stuff you can't control, and that's Shoney's natural personality. You shouldn't let it get under your skin if that's just the way somebody is. So.
Was there anyone in the house that you didn't hit it off with, or it's because it seemed like most people got on all right with everyone? Was there anyone there that you weren't too keen on, or?
I mean, for the most part, I was good with everybody. I think people might have thought that me and Charles McCarthy might have had some issues, but he was just a different guy. No, I didn't really. I hit it off pretty much with everybody on the show.
And you saying that it'd be nice to be able to get another shot at the UFC. Would you do another comeback season, or would that be a definite no?
I mean, depending on the format. I mean, if it's a comeback season with guys that's been there, then there shouldn't be as many restrictions that's put on the people that are in the house if they're veterans. I can understand it with new guys coming in and got the high testosterone levels and want to prove a point, but I've already been there, done that, so I don't necessarily need the restrictions that they put on the cast members in the house as far as being a veteran. I mean, I'm 41 years old. I really don't need nobody hovering over me and trying to tell me what to do. Yeah,
no, that's fair enough. I suppose that's the hardest thing. I suppose being away, as you're, like you say, you're 41, it's being away from family and things as well. You're probably going to have more responsibility than what the younger guys have got as well.
Yeah.
Now, looking over your career, like you say, you've had a lot of fights. Is there anyone you would ever like to rematch or to avenge a loss, or you felt like it should have gone differently or anything like that?
Immediately off the bat is George Macaco Patino. I fought him last September for promotion in Houston for their 170-pound title, and I lost the split decision. And almost everybody thought I won that fight except for the judges that were watching it. So that's definitely a fight that I would like to get back. Whether that happened or not, I don't know. I'm kind of confused with the way some of those guys over there are running the promotion as far as matchmaking. But that was a good fight. It was a split decision. It was a controversial decision, and you would think that they would immediately make a rematch within a certain amount of time frame that makes sense for the rematch to still be hot and bring attention to the promotion. And they just haven't done that. And I don't see why they haven't. But it's not my decision. It's their promotion, but if it makes sense, then do it. If it doesn't make sense, then don't do it. But I don't see. I've got a history in Houston, Texas. Macaco's in Houston, Texas. The promotion is based out of Houston, so it boggles me that they haven't made that rematch yet. So, but now that the demand for that rematch is gone now, because it was last year, it was a year ago.
Yeah.
So the demand for that rematch is people has probably forgotten about that fight, but I haven't.
When you get a decision like that and you go, what kind of emotions do you go through? What's the process that you go through? Obviously having the fight, feeling that you won, other people feeling that you won, and then not getting the decision. How does that leave you kind of feeling? Because it's got to be a strange feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it was considered his hometown, and I pretty much figured that he would probably get the decision. But just like I tell all my fighters, man, you never, if you can, you never let it go to the cards. So, with that mindset, if it's going to the cards, I always feel like I'm not going to win the fight. So, if you look at my career, it's not many of my fights that go to a decision. And
Yeah.
the few decisions that I've had, I know for sure there's 2 fights that I won for sure that I didn't get the nod on. So I just hate if you can at all prevent it from going to the cards, man, don't let it go to the cards. My philosophy is finish or be finished.
Yeah. Then at least you feel then that you've got a definite outcome either way, rather than going there feel like you've got the wrong outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Because now you're gonna be in my situation. You deserve a rematch. You want a rematch, but the promotion is not putting the rematch together. I mean, even after the promoter texted me the next day and said, "I thought you won the fight," and then I replied back. I said, "Well, that makes for an interesting rematch, then, doesn't it?" He said, "It sure does," and the rematch is yet to happen. So that's what's discouraging about having a bad decision or a controversial decision loss.
Doesn't it make it harder for you knowing that he's come back? Wouldn't it have been better if he hadn't have come back to you and said that?
Yeah, it would have been better, but I mean, he contacted me first. It was like,
Yeah.
I thought you wanted to fight. And I'm like, yeah, and a lot of other people did too. So, but if you feel that way, then why haven't you made the rematch?
Especially like you say, as it was relevant, people want to see it. Give it a few months, let everyone heal up, and get people back in there.
Yeah,
Get you both back in there again. It made sense, didn't it? It just
yeah, it was. I mean, it was a good fight. It was a great fight. And for us to do it again, would be a great crowd pleasing fight for the city of Houston. And they've yet to do it. So
looking over since you started to now. Can you see a big difference in the way the fighters are treated by the organisation? Because I think it's fair to say the sport is a lot more established now than what it was when you first started.
oh yeah, it's a big difference. You talking specifically with the UFC?
No, just anything, just the MMA organisations in general. Do you feel you get treated better now than what you did 10 years ago?
Uh, I mean, it really depends on the promotion. To be quite honest, these upstart promotions, they have no idea what they're doing and how to treat the fighters. Some of your more established promotions, like the Maximum Fighting Championships, they treat their guys pretty well. I have a pretty good. I mean, yeah, I don't know if you knew about this, but with the MFC, when I first fought for them, I had a terrible experience, and I blasted, Mark Pavlich and his promotion about it. But since then I've been back, and I think I fought for him 4 or 5 times since then. And we ironed out our differences and our issues, and it was pretty much basically a miscommunication. And but once we got through that and got the communication going, it's been great and smooth sailing ever since. Instinct MMA does a great job of taking care of their fighters. Um, Even when I was over in Brazil with the Amazon Forest Combat, they treated me quite well. The only issue I have with them right now is they haven't paid for my medical bill since I had since I injured my hand and had my surgery. But that's the only issue I have with them, is that they didn't do that. But I just look at some of these different promotions, like you look at Legacy, where we were talking about the controversial loss. you look at them and, they have yet to make it right by putting me and Makako together to fight again. So you look at that and, I feel like, yeah, I'm mistreated, but, it's just, I mean, it pretty much depends on the promotion. But overall, the bigger second level promotions are taking care of their guys pretty good. And then I'd say third tier or the promotions below that, they really hadn't grasped the concept of how to treat the fighters yet.
But hopefully, then, as the sport continues to grow and they continue to get more established, they'll pass that on to the fighters. I know Patrick's eager to jump in, so I'll let Patrick jump in, ready to ask some questions. You ready to go, Patrick?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Ray. And thanks a lot for joining us this afternoon, Pete.
Not a problem, Patrick.
So, listen, I wanted to ask, until recently, I've been a fan of yours for years. I've been watching you for a long time, since Tough 4 and even before that. But I didn't know that you were also a professional kickboxer. Were you doing that at the same time as MMA?
Yeah, I was. Actually, when I was released from the UFC after the Robbie Lawler fight, I had spent a lot of time overseas kickboxing in Australia and in Turkey and France.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah,
so what was that like, balancing the training for two sports? Were you more focused on one at the other, or was it just kind of like, I'll take a fight in MMA or kickboxing, whatever's good?
No, actually, I was kind of put off with MMA, so I had just started focusing on kickboxing actually, and I was actually going to retire in 2006. I had just fought in I believe what did I fight? I think I had just fought in Sydney, and I agreed to one last MMA fight in Fort Worth, which was around my hometown area. So I agreed to one. I had agreed to one last fight. I was going to do that fight, and then I was going to retire. And I'm at the weigh-ins for that particular fight, and I get a call from my manager saying that they wanted me for Tough 4. So so that's how I ended up staying in the sport. Is I got that call at the weigh-ins, and I called one of my close friends in the sport, Saul Solis, who trained Tito Ortiz for a long time, and he was just on season 3 with Tito as one of the coaches. And I called him. I said, "Man, the UFC called. They want me to do the Ultimate Fighter." I said, "What you think about that?" And he said, "If you don't do anything else or listen to anything else that I say," he's like, "take that opportunity." So I called him back. I said, "Yeah, I'll take the opportunity." And they told me not to get beat up in my fight. And it's kind of funny because I was fighting Matt Brown, and I fought. Yeah. I fought Matt Brown that next day. I fought Matt Brown, and
okay, Matt. Gosh, no, I forget what season he was on, but that's Matt the Immortal Brown.
Yes.
Okay.
So I fought him and beat him by decision. I mean, I beat him up pretty good, but I won by decision. And that was on a Saturday. That Tuesday, they flew me out to Vegas to do my interviews and stuff, and then I came back home. And then a week later, they flew me back out to shoot the show.
Wow, that's awesome. So you'd almost got out of the sport, and then Tough 4 brought you back in.
Yep. That's exactly how it happened.
That's funny how things work out like that.
I know, right?
Now, it was also announced recently there was a deal with Bellator and K1 where both of those promotions are going to air events on Spike TV. Mm-hmm. Do you think that'll be better for one sport than the other, or do you think they'll probably both get some growth out of it?
I think they'll both get some growth out of it. I mean, it's good to see K1 coming back. So, I think there'll be some growth to come out of it. How big, I don't know. Because I've been to a few of the Bellator shows live, and they really don't promote Bellator like they should. And for some reason, I don't feel like they're concerned with their live gate, because they never fill up a show. So right. I don't know what type of TV deal money that they have, but from what I've experienced, Bellator never really fills up a show at the gate. So I'm interested to see how long they're going to be around.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting, and we know they got that Viacom corporate money behind them, so who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe that just is keeping them afloat right now.
yeah.
Um,
Once Viacom gets tired of losing money, then Bellator will be a done deal.
yeah. So now let's talk about you referenced your fight with Daniel Ocasio in March.
Hmm.
That was a great fight, and you had a knockout of the year candidate with that one, man. That was probably the best spinning back fist I've ever seen in my life. And dude just flopped. Like, if
Yeah.
anybody hasn't seen it, you got to check it out on YouTube. We'll put some links up to it on the site. But here's the thing, I'm confused because I seen that knockout, your back fist lands, and it seemed like after the back fist landed, half a second, bell goes off.
Right.
Somehow the fight goes to the decision. What?
Right.
How did that happen?
I have no idea. I mean, they said I knocked him out. They said I knocked him out right at the 5 minute mark, but clearly, he was knocked out. So whether I hit him just before the bell or whether I hit him at the bell, it was still within the time frame of the fight. So
Right.
it should be ruled a KO because I've seen two videos. One video shows me hitting him, the bell sounds and he drops, and then another one shows me hitting him as the bell sounds. But
Right.
it should be considered a knockout. I mean, in that instance, it shouldn't be you can be saved by the bell.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I
yeah,
mean,
so
heck, I don't even know how long it took him to get him up off the mat to read that decision. Seemed
yeah,
like
it
he
took
was
a
down
couple
there
minutes.
hurting for a while.
Yeah, it took a couple of minutes. I mean, and he even kind of protested that it should be a no contest. Like, how's that a no contest? Either way you look at it, it can't be a no contest because I hit you within the time frame of the match. So
Yeah, legal shot within the time frame. Yeah, that's funny.
so
Um, yeah. Now I saw an ad on your website, therealpetespratt.com. I
mhm.
saw this ad with you on it for antler velvet. I heard that's kind of the new supplement these days. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That particular I was going into business with that guy. This is like a couple of years ago, and
Okay.
I tried the supplement, and I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything, so I stopped using it. But I allowed them to keep my name attached to it. But I just totally I didn't even use the product because I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything different. So um,
Oh, I see.
yeah, and then just recently they were doing another campaign because one of my friends is one of the partners in that particular business. And she was like, "Hey, you got any photos? I want to do another ad with the antler velvet." But she wanted to get me just some exposure as a fighter. But I'm no longer technically endorsing the product because it just didn't work for me.
Oh, I can't. Okay, I see. Um, so now going back a little bit now, you've always been a real accomplished athlete. In high
Hmm.
school and college, you did
Hmm.
football, basketball, track and field.
Yeah,
If you could have gone pro in anything besides MMA or kickboxing, which sport do you think it would be?
probably track and field. Um, I was just talking about this not too long ago. Actually, I said if I had it to do all over again, I would have went to college on I would have went to Baylor University on a track scholarship, and I would have walked on to the football team if I had to do it all over again. Uh, so I was a very very accomplished high level track athlete, and that's probably something that I should have pursued, but things happen, and I still ended up becoming a famous athlete anyway. So
Yeah, there you go. I guess you couldn't avoid it either way.
yeah,
It's just, I guess, however you chose to do it. So more
yeah.
power to you, my man.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Um, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of, I know you're a Texas guy.
Uh-huh.
NFL season kicks off tonight. Are we rooting for the Cowboys or what?
No, I don't necessarily care for the Cowboys.
Oh no.
I haven't been a big Cowboy fan since when Jerry Jones came in and fired Tom Landry and all of that stuff. So I've never really been a big Cowboy fan because of that. But I did enjoy watching them when they had the big three there with Aikman and Emmett and Michael Irvin. So I
Yeah, oh
did.
yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy that era, but I'm a 49er guy, man. I like watching the 49ers.
Oh, that's funny, man, because I'm a California guy rooting for the Cowboys. Here you are over there in Texas rooting for the Niners. That's comedy.
There you go. So, and my Niners take on the Packers this Sunday, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good season. Um, anyways, I don't really have a whole lot more for you. I want to thank you again for taking your time out to speak with us. You got anything else, Ray?
Yeah, I just want to obviously say, Pete, we really appreciate you coming on the show. We've loved having you on. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to shout out to? Any friends, family, and also let people know how they can contact you on Facebook and Twitter?
Yeah, you can contact me on Facebook at Pete Spratt 2. Facebook / Pete Spratt 2 is my, or you can just search my name, it'll pop up. Also at Twitter, you can catch me on Twitter at I am Pete Spratt. And man, I just want to shout out my team, man, here in San Antonio with Rodrigo Pinheiro, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and all the guys I train with out here. My manager Sabin Bean, my agent Oren Hodak with KO Reps, and man, I'm just having fun. I was excited and glad you guys asked me to come on the show. It was a pleasure doing it, and it was good talking with you guys.
We loved having you on. We really appreciate you giving us your time. And just remind us again, when's your next fight coming up?
It's sometime in October, not sure the exact date, but it'll be in October in Montreal for Instinct MMA.
And do you know your opponent yet? Did you say?
No idea, and it really doesn't matter.
Well, good luck for your fight. Good luck for that fight. We look forward to seeing that, and we'll get the links posted of your spinning back fist as well on the site.
All right,
as
I
well.
appreciate it. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Patrick.
All right, thanks, Pete.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Pete.
All right, no problem.
And that was Pete Spratt. He was we were a little bit disappointed, I think, because well, I was anyway with the other two guests not turning up. But I don't know. I feel alive again. That's more than made up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really great for Pete to take the time out of his busy schedule to come out and talk with us.